Hey there, fellow gardeners. Welcome back to Roothaven grounds where we dig deep into the secrets that make our gardens thrive. Today I'm sharing something that sounds almost too simple to be true, but trust me, this aluminum foil trick has been a game changer in my orchard, and I can't wait for you to try it in yours. Last summer, I was battling what seemed like an endless war against birds decimating my cherry harvest. I'd tried everything from those plastic owl decoys to reflective tape that looked more like party decorations than pest deterrents. Then, during a late-night gardening forum scroll, I stumbled upon this old-timer's trick hanging strips of aluminum foil in your fruit trees. I was skeptical at first, but desperate times call for creative measures. What happened next completely transformed my approach to natural pest control. Before we dive into the how-to, let's talk about why this actually works, because understanding the mechanism makes you a better gardener. Aluminum foil creates what's called a multisensory deterrent. When sunlight hits those metallic surfaces, it creates unpredictable flashes and reflections that birds find genuinely unsettling. Unlike us, birds have exceptional vision that's sensitive to ultraviolet light and sudden movements. Those random glints and flashes trigger their instinctive wariness of potential predators. But here's where it gets really interesting. The foil doesn't just work visually. When the breeze catches those strips, they create soft, crinkling sounds and chaotic movement patterns. Birds, being creatures of habit and caution, associate these unfamiliar stimuli with danger. They're hardwired to avoid areas where something unpredictable is happening, and your foil-adorned branches become exactly that kind of zone. I've noticed in my own garden that this method works particularly well because it's constantly changing. Unlike a static scarecrow that birds quickly learn to ignore, the foil responds to environmental conditions. Every gust of wind creates new patterns of light and sound, keeping those feathered raiders on their toes and away from your precious fruit. Now, let's get practical. You don't just crumple up foil and toss it into your tree, though I'll admit that was my first amateur attempt. After 2 seasons of refining this technique, I've developed a system that maximizes effectiveness while keeping your tree healthy and your garden looking intentional rather than chaotic. Start by cutting your aluminum foil into strips about 12 to 18 inches long and 2 to 3 inches wide. I prefer longer strips because they catch more wind and create more movement, but if you're dealing with particularly strong winds in your area, shorter pieces will stay intact longer. The width matters too. Too narrow, and they don't reflect enough light. Too wide, and they become heavy and tear easily. Here's a critical tip that took me a while to learn. Don't hang the foil directly on new growth or delicate branches. I use soft garden twine or old shoelaces to attach the foil strips, creating a small loop at the top of each piece. This allows the foil to spin and twist freely, which is exactly what you want. Tie them loosely around branches that are at least pencil thick, spacing them about 2 to 3 feet apart throughout the canopy. Think about coverage strategically. I concentrate more strips on the sunny side of my trees, where birds typically approach first thing in the morning. However, don't neglect the interior branches near ripening fruit. Those sneaky birds will absolutely find the quiet spots if you leave them unprotected. After my first successful season using this method, I started noticing benefits I hadn't anticipated. The increased light reflection from the foil strips was actually helping with fruit ripening on lower branches that typically stayed shaded. Those previously lackluster inner fruits were developing better color and sweetness. It's not a dramatic transformation, but in a productive orchard, every little advantage compounds into noticeable improvements. I also discovered that certain insect pests seem deterred by the reflective surfaces. Aphids and some species of moths appear confused by the light disruption. I'm not suggesting aluminum foil replaces proper integrated pest management, but it's a welcome bonus defense layer. My apple trees, which usually host a modest aphid population by midsummer, showed noticeably reduced numbers in the sections where I'd concentrated the foil strips. Knowing when to deploy your aluminum foil defense system is just as important as knowing how. I typically hang my strips about 2 to 3 weeks before my fruit begins showing color. This timing allows birds to develop the association that this area is uncomfortable before the fruit becomes irresistible. If you wait until birds have already established feeding patterns on your ripening crop, the foil is fighting an uphill battle against established behavior. For most fruit trees, this means early to midsummer, but your specific timing will depend on your climate zone and the varieties you're growing. Keep a garden journal noting when your trees typically start ripening, then work backward from there. I mark my calendar each winter with reminder dates for foil installation so I'm never caught scrambling. As for removal, I take my foil strips down within a week after harvest completion. Leaving them up indefinitely reduces their effectiveness for next season, because birds may gradually acclimate. Plus, winter weather is tough on aluminum foil, and you'll end up with tattered, ineffective strips by spring. I clean and store mine in a large plastic container in the shed, and honestly, most pieces last 2 to 3 seasons with this approach. This simple aluminum foil technique represents something larger about successful gardening. The best solutions are often the ones that work with nature rather than against it. We're not poisoning birds or creating elaborate barriers. We're simply using their natural instincts to redirect their behavior. This aligns perfectly with what we talk about here at Roothaven Grounds: sustainable, thoughtful interventions that respect the broader ecosystem. I've moved away from expensive commercial deterrents and chemical solutions toward these time-tested, low-impact methods. My garden is healthier for it, my wallet is happier, and frankly, I sleep better knowing I'm not introducing substances I don't fully understand into my growing environment. The aluminum foil method also teaches patience and observation. You'll need to monitor and adjust. Some trees might need more coverage, others less. Wind patterns, sun exposure, and even neighboring vegetation all influence effectiveness. Becoming attuned to these variables makes you a more skilled, intuitive gardener. I genuinely can't wait to hear how this works in your garden. Every growing space is unique, and I'm always learning from your experiences and adaptations. Try this method in your orchard or even on prized berry bushes. Observe what happens, and don't be afraid to experiment with placement and quantity. If this aluminum foil trick saves your harvest like it saved mine, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right here on Roothaven Grounds. Share this article with your fellow gardeners who are tired of sharing their hard-earned fruit with every bird in the neighborhood. Drop a comment below telling me what you're protecting this season and how the foil method works in your specific climate. Together, we're building a community of gardeners who value practical wisdom and sustainable solutions. Your success is my success, and I'm rooting for every single one of your trees. Now get out there, hang some foil, and let's grow something amazing.